From Citizen TV, this is the Monday Report with Trevor Ombija.
Good evening. We hope your holiday has been fantastic. My name is Trevor Ombija and this is the Monday Report. Our top stories tonight.
Let me get off the car, came out, and then they banged the door on my face and they told me to strip naked.
So they violently picked me out of that vehicle and they also ordered me to strip naked.
Abducted, sexually assaulted and held incommunicado. Activist Boniface Mwangi and Agatha Atuhaire reveal harrowing accounts of their detention in Tanzania. Policeman shot dead in Nakuru as security agencies arrest 7, including ex-convict of a spate of deadly robberies.
The government of Kenya is losing taxpayers' money by paying ghost UHC workers who cannot be accounted for.
Governors demand UHC payroll audit as nearly 3,000 ghost workers are unearthed in billion shillings scam.
The community say that let them be given 3 days. So and that's why all of us, we said, okay, let us give them 3 days. So now, as we have heard here, nothing really, those criminals have not been apprehended.
Murder of a priest. Calls for justice mount as leaders press Interior Ministry to beef up security in Tot area, Baringo County. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yulan Zale. So Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and his Ugandan counterpart Agatha Atuhaire have revealed disturbing details of their detention in Tanzania, claiming that they were sexually tortured by operatives they believe were working with the state. Now the two say that they were abducted, held illegally for days in torture chambers and eventually dumped at the border. As Citizen TV's Ben Kirui reports, they claim that they were brutalized and warned never to speak about their ordeal.
For the first time since they are released from detention in Tanzania, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and his Ugandan counterpart Agatha Atuhaire have broken their silence, revealing chilling details of what they describe as a state-sponsored ordeal of abduction and abuse. Speaking at a press conference, a visibly shaken Boniface Mwangi, his voice trembling with emotion, recounted being forcibly taken from his hotel room, dragged into a dark airless cell, stripped naked, and sexually assaulted by his captors.
They told me to strip naked, and I stripped naked. When I stripped naked, they removed my handcuffs, and then I was grabbed by about 4 men. And they lifted me up so fast. Before they lifted me, actually, they put some gloves on my hands. Then they lifted me up.
According to the activists, they were held in adjacent rooms, close enough to hear each other's screams, groans, and pleas of mercy echoing through the walls as their ordeal unfolded.
So we spent the night on that floor. I could barely walk. I was bleeding. And then I could hear Agatha screaming. And one of the men was there saying, why don't you give me permission to rape her? Because this one is like big good. She looks very nice. Let me just allow me to shusha mzigo, like let me rape her.
At first I didn't know why, but I heard Boniface screaming and I knew they were trying to block me from hearing that. So they violently picked me out of that vehicle and they also ordered me to strip naked.
And as the torture continued, Mwangi claims their captors issued chilling threats, warning him to never speak out about the abuse or face the release of compromising videos online, a deliberate tactic meant to silence through fear and public shame.
So they're recording this and they're teaching me a lesson. So I'm stuck naked. They tell me around, say your name, your wife's name, your kid's name, where do you live, where do they go to school. I'm naked.
Mwangi and Atwaire had traveled to Tanzania to show solidarity with opposition leader Tundu Lissu, who was appearing in court to face treason charges. But in the wake of their ordeal, the duo said their governments failed them, accusing officials in Nairobi and Kampala of remaining silent as they suffered in captivity.
I think when he's talking about his government letting him down, at least they pretended and put out a statement. Mine didn't. Because for our governments, it was good riddance. Someone else is getting rid of our headaches. Why would they care about that?
They are not the only regional figures to have faced hostility from Tanzanian authorities. Other prominent voices, including Martha Karua and former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga, were declared persona non grata and deported immediately upon arrival in Tanzania.
The East African community, SADC, AU, and the international community, your inaction is deafening. Join the citizens of Jumuiya, which is the East African community, in demanding 1. Immediate international sanctions against President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, William Samoei Ruto, and General Muhoozi Kainerugaba for continued atrocities against the people of East Africa.
The two activists have vowed to pursue every legal avenue available, both regional and international, to hold the Tanzanian government accountable for what they describe as outrageous human rights violations. Ben Kirui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
From those harrowing tales, the treason case against Tanzanian opposition leader Tundu Lissu has been adjourned to June 16th. During the hearing, Principal Magistrate Godfrey Mhini ordered that the prosecution be to provide an update on the status of investigations and clarify whether they intend to formally prosecute the Chadema leader, who has been held in prison for nearly 2 months now. The case has drawn widespread attention beyond Tanzania, with the Lissu's lawyers appealing to the United Nations to declare his detention arbitrary. Ayub Abdikadir has more.
For the second time in 3 weeks, Lissu appeared in person before Kisutu resident magistrate in Dar es Salaam, dogged yet defiant throughout the open court proceedings. His appearance following the court's reversal of an earlier decision that had allowed his treason case to be heard via video conference. And then came the much-anticipated prayers by his defense team, prompting Principal Magistrate Godfrey Mhini to direct the prosecution to provide an update on the status of investigations and clarify whether the state intends to formally prosecute Lissu. Mhini, citing Lissu's 2-month detention at Ukonga Maximum Prison, noted that the delay in investigations borders on a violation of his constitutional right to be considered for bail or bond.
Mahakama inaendelea kutoa amri kwa jamhuri kuendelea kutoa taarifa au status ya hatua za upelelezi katika shauri hili, kwani ni wazi na ni ukweli usiopingika kwamba upelelezi unapochukua muda mrefu, haki ya mshtakiwa pia, the justice delayed is justice denied.
In what could mark the end of Lissu's long-standing push for electoral reforms, the court equated his stance, along with the parallel chants from his supporters, to contempt of court.
Niseme kwamba hakimu alipokwisha fika mahakamani akakaa, mahakama ilikuwa imekamilika bila kujali upande wote haupo au upo. Kwa hivyo nihitimishe kwa kusema kwamba maneno ambayo yamesemwa na mshtakiwa yalikuwa sio sahihi.
The high-stakes case against the Chadema national chairperson was broadcasted live for members of the public. His trial and disqualification of his party from October's political contest against ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi has drawn sharp criticism, with prominent Kenyans and activists flocking to Dar es Salaam in solidarity. However, their efforts were largely in vain. Only former Chief Justice David Maraga was granted access to observe the final court proceedings. An expanded battalion of activists were detained at Mwalimu Julius Nyerere International Airport before they were deported back. drawing the attention of the United States, which through its African Bureau called for immediate investigation into the detention of Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and his Ugandan counterpart Agatha Atuhaire. His lawyers have appealed to the United Nations, urging it to declare his detention arbitrary, arguing that his nearly 2-month imprisonment constitutes a clear violation of his rights. Ayub Abdikadir, Citizen TV.
Now, police in Nakuru are holding 7 suspects, including an ex-convict released from prison last month over the surge in fatal robbery cases in recent weeks. The 7 were arrested in a crackdown after a policeman was gunned down while on patrol in the Freehold area on Sunday night. And as Marian Nyambura now reports, an AK-47 rifle believed to have been used in the robberies has also been recovered.
After tense days in many neighborhoods in Nakuru town following a spate of fatal robberies, police say they are narrowing down on the gang responsible. Monday morning outside the DCI offices in Nakuru, security teams displayed an AK-47 rifle suspected to have been used in the violent robberies. Police swung into action on Sunday night after a police constable was shot and killed in an exchange with gunmen in Bondeni area of Nakuru East. 2 other officers sustained injuries to the stomach and shoulders and are receiving treatment at Nakuru Level 5 Hospital.
Our officers, while on patrol, pumped into the gang and a shootout arose. And out of the shootout at around 8:30, we were able to track the entire night the systems of these fellows.
Police officers arrested suspects at the scene. William Nyairi Rioba, an ex-convict, Nyari Nyamwara, Emmanuel Mwita, and Catherine Nkantha Zakayo. 4 more suspects were arrested in their hideout around Tidy's area.
These guys are from Kuria, Tanzania, but with accomplices in between here. And one of them is an ex-convict who was released from JK prison here in Nakuru just I think last month.
Detectives say the 43-year-old Catherine Nkantha, who operated a kiosk in Freehold, hid the recovered rifle in dry grass near a residential house.
We sent in the cartridges to the ballistic experts, and now we are taking this firearm. It is not linked to here. It is linked to elsewhere, which in due course we will be able to know from where.
The robberies have been executed in a bold manner in different parts of Nakuru, targeting mobile money shops, including Pipeline area, approximately 17 kilometers from Nakuru town. Ndegendimu area in Bahati, approximately 7.8 kilometers from Pipeline. Ngata Estate, southwest of Nakuru town, approximately 20 kilometers away. And Soilo, Nakuru West, 10 kilometers from Nakuru town. On May 21st, businessman Jackson Mwangi was shot and killed by armed assailants at his shop in Pipeline. On May 23rd, another businessman, Paul Ndongo, was shot and killed by armed criminals in the Gendimu area. On May 29th, a Good Samaritan, Enoch Kipkoech, was shot and killed by armed assailants who raided a mobile money shop in Arapchumo, Ngata area. On March 31st, 24-year-old Elias Mwambili was shot and killed by a gang that robbed a mobile money shop in Soilo. But until Sunday night, little was known about the state of investigations and the suspects on police radar.
A string of violent nighttime robberies, the killing of 4 traders across 4 different sub-counties in Nakuru has left many worried. But the arrest of suspects and the recovery of an AK-47 rifle is a welcome relief. It remains to be seen whether police will unravel the depth of this gang. Marian Nyambura, Citizen TV, Nakuru.
Let's stay with crime matters, and religious and political leaders from the Greater Rift Valley region have condemned the government's continued laxity in addressing the persistent banditry menace that has plagued Kerio Valley for decades now, leading to numerous deaths. Speaking during the memorial mass of the late Father Alois Cheruiyot Bet, the leaders singled out the Ministry of Interior and National Administration for failing to arrest any suspects nearly 2 weeks after the brutal killing. And as Kamau Mwangi now reports, the family of the late priest says it has forgiven his killers ahead of his burial tomorrow.
At a somber mass held at the Sacred Heart Cathedral in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, in remembrance of the late Father Alois Cheruiyot Bet, who was tragically shot dead 12 years ago in Tot Elgeyo Marakwet County, the government has once again faced criticism over its failure to effectively address the long-standing banditry crisis that has devastated the Kerio Valley for decades. Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who had vowed to track down and bring the perpetrators to justice, came under heavy fire from both religious and political leaders. They accused him of laxity and failing to fulfill his promise.
That meeting where the community say that let them be given 3 days. So and that's why all of us, we said, okay, let us give them 3 days. So now, as we have heard here, nothing really, those criminals have not been apprehended. And that's why everybody is now wondering, if within those 3 days they have not been apprehended, are they even still around?
He knows the security of the country. He even said he knows where the people, everyone sleeps in Kenya. So the question the family and all of us are asking, where are these bandits? Why is it taking long to operate? And you know also the police and the minister must apologize to this country.
The mass, attended by hundreds of Catholic faithful, bidding farewell to a man who dedicated his life to God and humanity, was marked by the family's forgiveness of Father Cheruiyot's killers. His powerful call for the disarmament of Kerio Valley echoed strongly throughout the service.
Damu ya Alois iliyomwagika kule kwa ule mlima iwatakaze, iwaoshe, ili wapate kutubu na kuja kwa njia ya msalaba. Wazazi na jamii ya Alois tumewasamea.
We have no reason as a nation now, considering we are reasonable force in the country that can handle our borders and make sure Kenya is safe from external aggression. We must deal with the internal aggression we are witnessing as a nation.
Let the police be there, the GSU be there, let the army, even they are there, let them then do their work, unless somebody is protecting these criminals and somebody does not want disarmament to happen.
With the late father's funeral scheduled for Tuesday, calls for justice have intensified across the community.
Nataka niulize DCI, kwa sababu alikuwa na speed kabisa kama ya 100 meters, ku-expose the fake abduction of Juja MP. Watumia hiyo same speed kutuambia nani aliua huyu ndugu yetu.
Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Now, there are startling revelations have emerged from the country's healthcare system, exposing a massive money-minting scheme allegedly fueled by ghost workers under the Universal Health Coverage Program. Millions of shillings meant to pay county frontline health workers may have been siphoned by shadowy cartels operating within the Ministry of Health. A document from the Ministry of Health seen by Citizen TV reveals alarming discrepancies between the ministry's payroll records and the Council of Governors Register of UHC workers.
The Universal Health Coverage Program was launched with a promise to revolutionize healthcare access across all 47 counties. But beneath this promise lies a disturbing truth. Thousands of names on payrolls may not even exist. Outside Afya House, songs, dance and blaring of vuvuzelas from UHC staff have become a daily scene as they rally loudly, demanding that their contracts be confirmed as permanent and pensionable positions.
The government of Kenya is losing taxpayers' money by paying ghost UHC workers who cannot be accounted for. Kwa sababu ile list kukula ile 8,700. Tukiangalia rekodi zetu sisi kama county governments, we do not have 8,700 in the hospitals. Iko party yao karibu 3,000 which you cannot account for.
A letter dated 14th May 2025, seen by Citizen TV and signed by Medical Services Permanent Secretary Dr. Oma Oluga, addressed to Council of Governors, notes that the data presented on the Universal Health Coverage Program shows significant discrepancies with the ministry's payroll records. According to the insiders, some UHC workers have left the profession, others have travelled abroad, and some have passed away, yet their names still appear on the payroll.
Waliandikwa, interview ilifanywa hapa katika county na si Tharaka Nithi peke yake, katika Kenya mzima. Sisi ndio tulifanya interview. Lakini payroll ile inawalipa na pale wanalipwa na serikali kuu. Na kabla yule wa national akulipe, aangaliangi ama ajui kama wewe uko kazi ama yuko kazi.
A summary of the payroll data and a detailed list of UHC officers in each county seen by Citizen TV raised serious questions about who is benefiting from the ghost workers' payment. Some counties have up to 34 unaccounted for names on their payrolls. Multiplied by 50,000 per month, this means that individuals or groups could be pocketing as much as 1.7 million Kenya shillings each month. Over the course of a year, the government could be losing a whopping 20.4 million Kenya shillings in just one county. Health CS Adendwale has acknowledged the discrepancies in the payroll and called on the Council of Governors to nominate officers to take part in the UHC staff verification exercise set for the second week of June.
Next week, nimeandikia Council of Governors. Nimesema tutafanya head count kwa sababu UHC nurses wamesign contract na county government. Wanafanyia kazi county government. Tujue kwanza tuko na wangapi.
Nilisikia union wataki utufanye, lazima tufanye. We cannot be paying people we don't know. And the only way to do head count for UHC staff ni tupewe payroll na Minister of Health ikuje county ndio tuangalie kama wale wanalipa huko kama ndio tuko nao hapa.
Council of Governors chairperson Ahmed Abdullahi has insisted that the national government must resolve all pending issues concerning UHC workers before transferring their payrolls to county governments. Emily Chebet, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Now, police in Nairobi are holding a book writer of allegations of identity theft under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. Authorities have linked Webster Ochora Elijah to the alleged publication of a book on President William Ruto's daughter, Charlene, titled Beyond the Name Charlene Ruto and the Youth Uprising. Ode Francis has the details.
DCI officers have placed Webster Ochora Elijah under their radar, arresting him on allegations of identity theft under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. Detectives are on the matter, saying the book was not commissioned by the president's daughter. They are now scrutinizing the book titled Beyond the Name, Charlene Ruto and the Youth Uprising, and have written to the publisher keen to determine the identities of those involved in financing its publication. Ochora's legal team and family who visited him at Muthaiga police station condemning his detention.
Webster Ochora, who was arrested on suspicion of having stolen Charlene Ruto's identity.
The young man detained here is a publisher, is an author, who has authored so many books. Books for Donald Trump, books for Raila Amolo Odinga, and was in the process of working for a positive works for Charlene Ruto. But it's unfortunate that without due process is detained here.
Ochora's lawyers maintain that he has committed no criminal offense and that the charges supposedly being preferred against him will fall if they end in court.
It is normal. It is within the framework of freedom of speech for any Kenyan, particularly the young unemployed Kenyans, to use those images for purposes of communicating and freedom of speech. Kenya is a democracy. If we are so sensitive that we are arresting our young men for being creative, so we urge our public officers, particularly the presidency, to be fair, to accommodate all sorts of criticism, because that is the essence of democracy.
Police have seized Webster's laptop for forensic examination, seeking potential digital evidence as he awaits his arraignment in court on Tuesday, June 3rd, 2025. Details of the content in the book remain unknown. Ode Francis, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
United Democratic Alliance Party chairperson Cecily Mbarire has voiced growing frustration within the ruling party, accusing unnamed senior officials based in Nairobi of disrespecting and undermining her authority. Speaking during Madaraka Day celebrations in Embu County, Governor Mbarire warned that she will soon expose those behind the alleged scheme, claiming their secret night meetings that have been held to plot her political downfall. Emmanuel To has the details.
A storm is yet again brewing in the United Democratic Alliance Party. Party chairperson Cecily Mbarire has become the latest senior figure to speak out, revealing deep-seated frustrations with top party officials whom she accuses of deliberate sabotage. Addressing Madaraka Day celebrations at Makima Primary School in Mbeere South, Embu County, Governor Mbarire claimed that unnamed senior figures within the party and government have been holding night meetings aimed at undermining her leadership.
Those officers from Nairobi who are coming to Embu to hold night meetings to fight elected leaders. Na wana heshima na wanajifanya wanaelewa siasa ya Embu kutuliko sisi. When we are working round the clock to fight for this government, tunaambia wakome. Wanajijua.
Mbarire adding that her struggles to keep UDA afloat against a heavy tide from the opposition in the Mount Kenya region went unappreciated.
Muniambie mmekuwa wapi wakati tumekuwa tukipigania William Ruto hapa Embu. Vita kubwa sana. Tukazunguka hii county na MCA na deputy. Tukisema kujeni tuingie kwa serikali tusaidie, tuweze kusaidika. Sasa mnatutolea vita Nairobi, mnatuletea hapa Embu. Sitakubali.
The chairperson promising to expose those planning to push her out of the party.
Mnipatie heshima vile na wapatia heshima. I do not take our support for President William Ruto for granted. Kama kuna shida, mtuite kwa meza mtuambie kuna shida wapi. But musituletee vita hapa Embu. Sitakubali tebe tekelani mwambe tekedia.
Na nimeagiza vikosi vya usalama hapa Embu.
Mbarire was noticeably absent during Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki's visit to the county on Friday. Her handlers later claimed she had not been informed of the Deputy President's impromptu tour. Earlier this year, the Deputy President openly criticized Governor Mbarire, stopping just short of suggesting she was unfit to hold her senior position in the party. His remarks followed an incident in November last year where President William Ruto was booed during a public event in Embu County.
You're the national chairman of UDA. You are a UDA governor and the national chairman of the ruling party. Your party leader, the president, comes to your hometown and is heckled. What reason do we have to have you on board as a... Yeah? How is that possible?
Emmanuel To, Citizen TV.
All right, on that note, Monday Report is taking a quick break. We're back with much more in a short while, so don't go too far. Thanks for staying with us. Now, for years, the government has waged a public campaign against tuberculosis or TB, urging early detection and treatment as key to beating the disease. But despite these efforts, TB is steadily tightening its grip on the remote Kerio Valley. In Sigor sub-county, the valley's only lifeline for TB treatment, the Lone Hospital, is struggling to cope with a rising number of infections, raising fears of unchecked spread in the region. Kamau Mwangi has the details.
Though frail, every step Shadrach Lomukwa takes brings him closer to what may be his only hope. A diagnosis for the illness that is slowly draining him. Shadrach has traveled over 200 kilometers from Tiati, crossing the vast and forgiving expanse of the Kerio Valley all to reach the Sigor Sub-County Hospital, rumored to be the one place where treatment and perhaps a cure can be found.
Ugu sikuwa na sishika kitu. Sasa nilikagamba nikasema mbona sitembei? Mbona sishiki kitu? Hapo ndio imekuwa shida. Wakaniambia wewe kimbia Sigor. Sigor ndio wanakuokoa.
Though still recovering after 3 months at the facility, Lomukwa is grateful for the progress made in managing his symptoms. A boda operator from Tiati, he believes his drinking habits exposed him to tuberculosis. He points to the poor hygiene and the sharing of utensils in local drinking dens, spaces where the disease, he says, is quietly spreading. Many showing clear symptoms continue to mingle freely with friends and family, unaware of the danger they pose.
Mimi nilikuwa nakunywa. Wacha nikwambie ukweli. Nilikuwa nakunywa. Sasa wakaniambia hii shida maybe itakuwa ni mambo ya nini. Nikamwambia sawa, haina shida. Wacha nimweleze daktari direct.
Chepkesa Sikiru is another patient at the facility. She has been isolating in one of the manyatas repurposed by the hospital as makeshift quarantine zones, an attempt to cope with the rising number of TB cases that are quietly overwhelming the facility. What began as a stubborn cold turned into a long and uncertain journey, more than 150 kilometers before she finally arrived here and was diagnosed with tuberculosis.
Back home, when I was brewing alcohol, when I drank using 1 cup with people, that is when I know I got this TB.
Sigor sasa ina serve over 30 facilities. Tungekuwa na ile TrueNut, kuna mashini ndogo inaitwa TrueNut, inaweza fanyikwa Tamkal ile theater side, ingine ipeleke taka hivyo boda ya hiyo Baringo, kwa sababu wengi wanatoka pale ile tupate resistance mapema. Alafu tupate ingine hata Lumut, kwa sababu Lumut na is our health center.
This challenge is compounded by a lack of proper sensitization among locals and a deeper problem. Health officers who should be leading awareness efforts face threats to their safety in parts of rural Baringo and West Pokot. As a result, crucial information on how TB spreads is not reaching the people who need it the most, hampering containment efforts across the vast Kerio Valley.
Kama mwaka wa 2024 ile tunaita case notification rate ya county ya Pokot Magharibi ilikuwa 228,000 per 100,000 population. Iko juu kiasi.
And even as the government, with the support from USAID, rolls out the Tamatisha TB program in search of lasting solutions, the threat persists. Families and entire communities across the Kerio Valley remain at constant risk of contracting the disease. Kamau Mwangi, Citizen TV.
Now at 76, Elijah Nyaga is living proof that retirement can be the start of something even greater. The former teacher isn't just enjoying his golden years, he's thriving thanks to a bold decision he made decades ago, investing in coffee farming. Today, the Embu-based retiree earns more than his 300,000 coffee stems than he ever did in his teaching career. While many retirees grapple with shrinking pension checks and rising expenses, Elijah's story flips the script, turning retirement into a season of reward, not regret. Mary Mwoki has the details.
He is a retired teacher, but a coffee millionaire in retirement. Meet Elijah Nyaga, a coffee farmer in Runyenja's Embu County, who's rewriting the retirement rule book. At an age when many slowed down, Mwalimu Elijah is speeding up.
It's not heralding because if
turning coffee cherries into a golden fortune. Elijah, spry and smiling at 76 years old, walks through rows of coffee bushes, inspecting ripe cherries. His hands gently cradle a branch, his face beaming with pride.
Personally, I'm at a million level. So I'm a millionaire from coffee, and I hope to do better. Last time you saw my coffee, I'm doing quite well. And in fact, right now is where I'm going after this. After lunch, mi naingia huko, because I can see there is hope in the coffee industry.
Elijah's not just defying stereotypes about struggling retirees. He's out earning his teaching days. While many senior citizens lean on meager pensions or family support, Elijah's coffee farm is his pension plan, and it's paying dividends.
When a farmer comes with his coffee,
Used to put it in the sorting area where he'll remove the underripe, overripe, and the bone. Then after that, he takes his coffee to the crack where we used to weigh that the coffee.
The meticulous process at Gagongo factory, part of Baragwi Farmers Cooperative Society, ensures top quality coffee. And thanks to recent government reforms, that quality is translating into record-breaking payouts for farmers like Elijah.
Farmers were paid at a rate of 128 shillings and 80 cents, the highest in the history of coffee farming in Kenya. So we would like to thank the government for the better prices, because most of our farmers will now go back to coffee farming.
These reforms have turned coffee into a cash cow. Elijah and thousands of others are reaping the benefits, with some factories paying up to 149 shillings per kilo. For Elijah, this means financial freedom in his golden years, no reliance on his children or a paltry pension.
I'm a proud farmer, really celebrating something good which I got from the farm in terms of payment. Because I think this time around we've been paid the highest.
I train them on the resistant varieties. When you change from Esero to Roiro, you are reducing the cost of production.
For Elijah, coffee isn't just about money, it's about legacy. His farm employs local youth, supports his family, and inspires community. At 76, he's proved that retirement can be vibrant, lucrative, and fulfilling.
To beseech our young people, especially youth, waingie kwa hii coffee industry, because if you have a shamba, in fact, it's doing better than being employed, according to me. If I'm calling for employment now, having coffee and tea, I don't think there is an employer who would pay me better than I'm being paid by coffee.
Retirement is often painted as a time of rest, but for 76-year-old Elijah Nyaga, it's become his most profitable chapter yet. At 76 years old, Elijah Nyaga is flipping the retirement script, swapping chalk for cherries and raking in profits from his thriving coffee farm. While others slow down in requirement, he's scaling up with 3,000 coffee stems and record-breaking payouts. His golden years, more brew, less blues. Mary Moki, Citizen TV in Embu County.
All right, in that case, let's take a quick break from the coffee fields of Embu. We're back with much more in just a minute. Welcome back to the Monday Report. Now, Slovenian President Nataša Pirc-Musar has urged Kenyans to take a leading role in protecting and preserving their environment. She said that the climate crisis was escalating at an alarming rate with devastating effects. She spoke while she inaugurated a climate change adaptation unit at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. The hub is expected to help generate crucial data points for effective climate change response.
80% of all carbon dioxide emissions are put into the air by the G20 countries. 4 European countries among them: Italy, Germany, France, and United Kingdom. 80%. Do you know how much Africa is producing in carbon dioxide emissions? 6%. I cannot tell you how much Slovenia is producing because it's so low because of the geographical smallness. But what does that mean? Should we just watch the G20 countries and wait for them to do the right thing?
These models are not just simulations, they are living adaptive tools that integrate satellite imagery, AI, and environmental data to predict and visualize the impacts of climate stressors on water, soil, vegetation, and livelihoods.
Now, 45-year-old woman in Serutut Belgut in sub-county, then Kericho County, was electrocuted this morning in a suspected electrical accident. Police reports indicate Joyce Chepkorir was using a new electric cooking coil to prepare breakfast when she was fatally electrocuted. Her husband, Jackson Martim, found her unresponsive in their bedroom around 9 a.m. Her body has been moved to Sigowet sub-county morgue awaiting autopsy as investigations continue to determine whether faulty electrical connections may have been to blame.
Ila alienda kuona akasema ni kwa Joyce ambapo moshi inatoka nyumba yake. Sasa bwana akarudi. Akaenda kuuliza bwana kwamba na si nyumba yako ambayo ni moshi inatoka. Sasa bwana akaambia yeye sasa ni Joyce ameungua. Stima imemoa.
Ilisikia nduru saa 12. Nikaamuka kwa singizi. Nikashindwa ni nini? Watu wanapigana ama ni nini? Kukimbia kukuja, nikapata jirani amelala chini. Ameshikilia hiyo kitu hivi.
Nimekuja hapa nikasudia mambo yenye stima amefanya. Imekuwa tu bole akiwa mwenzetu. Ni ansala mwenzetu anafanyanga Unilever that is proud. Sasa sijui nini ilifanyika juu tu kuona kenye iliendelea, lakini tulipata tu mwili yake akiwa chini. Tunasema tu bole.